What would be nice though is if our application would know when it needs to request another CSRF cookie and do it automatically. One question I often got in the past is, when do we need to request a CSRF cookie? Should we do it before every request? Should we do it before every authenticated request? Should we not do it at all? How is that working? Well, my answer was, the only time you need to request a CSRF cookie is before making a request to a public endpoint. Once you log in, you no longer need to request CSRF cookies. And my logic was pretty solid. The reason being, once you log in, you get a Laravel session and a CSRF token cookie whose expiration dates are the same, meaning that you can automatically assume that you have a CSRF cookie in place, so there's no need to request another one. And this is true for most cases. However, just because the session ID and the CSRF token cookies are expired, that doesn't mean the user is no longer authenticated and cannot make requests to protected routes. We also need to consider the Remember Me token, which has a much longer expiration date. But before we move forward, let's set up some testing material. I'll open up the dashboard view component and add a new function. Let's say test CSRF. That simply makes a post request to some test endpoint. Let's also add a button for it. We'll do onClick test CSRF. And then, of course, we need to add the new API route. I'll go to the Laravel API, open up the API routes file, and we'll make this a protected route. So we'll do route middleware auth sanctum post test CSRF, and let's simply have a function that returns an array with 1, 2, 3. Let's go in the browser and clear out the site data. Refresh. Go to the cookies. Let's log in with remember set to true. And that will give us a Remember Me token. And now let's assume the Laravel session and the CSRF token cookies expire. When I press this button that will make the post request to the test CSRF endpoint, this should still work. But if I go to the network tab and hit the button, we get a 419 CSRF token mismatch response. Now, the thing is, we can't just request a CSRF cookie before every other request. That would be nuts. We'd basically double the number of requests we need to make. What would be nice though is if our application would know when it needs to request another CSRF cookie and do it automatically. And of course, we can do that. We can jump into our custom access instance, and here where we have our interceptor, where we're adding the CSRF cookie, we can basically check whether or not the getCookie function returns a value. And if not, let's make another CSRF cookie request. Now, one thing you should know about the CSRF token is that it's only required for non-get requests. So if the request method is get, then we can simply return early. There's no need to attach the CSRF token header. If, however, the request method is something else, like a post, put, patch, or delete request, then we can get the token. We'll do let CSRF token. We'll check if we don't have a CSRF token. Then we'll make another request. We'll do await, Axios, get, sanctum, CSRF cookie. Of course, we'll need to turn this function into an async one. And then here, we'll need to grab the cookie again. And of course, this will now be CSRF token. So if the request is a GET request, we simply return early. There's no need to attach a CSRF token header. Otherwise, if it's a post, put, patch, or delete request, we try getting the CSRF token. And if we don't have one, we request a new one and grab it again. Let's now go in the browser to repeat our test. I'll go ahead and clear out the site data and log in with remember set to true, such that we have a Remember Me cookie. Let's now assume that the Laravel session and the CSRF token cookies expire. And now, when I press this button, our access interceptor will see that we no longer have a CSRF cookie and request it for us. And of course, the actual request was now successful. One nice thing about doing this in our interceptor is that we no longer need to request the CSRF cookie anywhere else. meaning that I can go in my auth store, and before making the login request, I no longer need to do this. I can just remove it. Let's go in the browser, clear out the site data, go to the network tab, log in, and the CSRF cookie is automatically fetched for us. Isn't that nice? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, share it, subscribe, click the bell button, all that good stuff. Bye.